I'm bored. I have nothing better to do with my life right now. So let's see whether this ENFP actually understands an INTJ, and let's talk about it. Let's have discussions. Primarily, I want to make sure that everyone understands this is not a reaction channel and this is not a drama channel. This is just something that I decided, hey, yeah, it might be fun. So yeah, let's listen and let's learn together.
Hi, my name is Linda, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why ENFPs love INTJs. Okay, so if you're an MBTI buff, you'd know that the ENFP and INTJ pairing is a highly touted one. There's a lot of information about why they're attracted to each other, and you
Yes, I
see a
agree
lot
with
of
that. It's everywhere.
you see this pairing a lot in popular culture, such as anime. There's like especially a lot of ENFP female characters, and then usually um, always dealing with like an INTJ counterpart. You see this pairing a lot in like gaming as well. Um, Sorry if I get breathless. I just kind of get really excited and I just like talk without breathing. Okay. What was I talking about? Okay, yes. Your
All right, that's something I actually want to talk about. So, being an intuitive dominant user as an INTJ, having introvert intuition, it's very easy to spot another intuitive dominant user based off of how quickly they can use intuition and speak within a certain pattern, right? Like I don't know how really else to explain it besides the fact that it's easy for me to know if someone else is an intuitive dominant user or whether it's the second function of their top four function stack. I don't know whether she's going to go more into it in this video, but it really is one of those. If you have it, is you can tell. If you don't have it, it's hard to fake.
also see it a lot in gaming. In Final Fantasy VIII is a good example. So Renoa is an ENFP and Squall is an INTJ.
Okay, I don't
Also,
know if I agree
a
with
lot of
that. I've
INFJs
played that game. I love that game, but
have
Squall
nominated
may or may not be an
of the
INTJ.
Final Fantasy franchise as their favorite, which I find really interesting. But we'll be talking about INFJs in a different video, not this one. So, yes. So why? Oh, and another thing that I wanted to point out is that I'm going to be talking about INTJs. When I talk about INTJs, I'm largely talking about male INTJs. Um, because most of the INTJs I know are male. So I'm just gonna put it out there in case they're not that consistent with like their female counterpart.
Okay, from my perspective, I'm going to talk from both perspectives. I know I have more male than female ENFP friends or people that I've actually known throughout history, but I've noticed that there are certain consistencies within both, and I'm going to try to provide a more holistic view of it. And all the ENFPs I know are from different racial backgrounds too, so there is that cultural part of it too that we need to consider.
Because I know like female ENFPs and male ENFPs can be quite different too. Same with like any other type, like the male and the female counterpart. They're quite different within the same personality type, which is also another interesting thing. And it's also pretty like it's expected, right? Uh, but anyways, that's a different topic, different video, stay on topic. Okay, so I have notes to keep me on track because I am, as you've seen, susceptible of getting off topic. So hopefully this works out. Okay, so
All right, before we continue, it took her 2 minutes of introduction to get to the topic at hand. Like that's way too long. That's way too long. That's one of the clear indication of whether someone is NE or NI, because the higher it, like introvert intuition is in your function stack, the more you feel obligated to stay on track when you're communicating. But that doesn't mean that what she said wasn't true, right? Preface matters so that everyone's on track or everyone is on the same page. It's just very interesting that it would take her this long to get to this point, unless she's building up the story to a conclusive, like dropping point or a conclusive starting point, which I feel like she did, but didn't at the exact same time.
why ENFPs love INTJs. So first thing I wanted to point out is that I've noticed that a lot of guys mistype themselves as INTJ. And I don't know what the deal is, but there are a lot
Yes.
of men who are so adamant, like non-INTJ men who are so adamant that they're INTJ, and I guess like they've just like idolized this personality type, but this like introverted mastermind who's capable of evil, like the stereotype. And I just think like I just find it kind of interesting how a lot of men mistype themselves as INTJ, but not women. Um, so if you don't relate to any of this, you might be a mistyped INTJ. Just putting out there. But as an ENFP, I can spot a true INTJ. I've got an eye for NI-DOMs. And I know that sounds really creepy.
It is on creepy, but I said that earlier. Let's see
So,
whether she says
let's
the
get
same
on
thing I
with the
said.
video. I'm yapping on. Okay, so why we love INTJs. So one thing I wanted to like point out is that INTJs, like they've got like, they're like these generally stoic figures, and they've got like this look. I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about with like this INTJ look. It's like this like stare where they make you feel like you're an idiot, but you know that there's so much more depth to them. And as ENFPs, like we kind of find that oddly attractive. Um, yeah, it's just kind of sexy. And yes, so that's
All right, I want to stop right there. That's so fucking weird to hear. But I guess when it comes down to connection with other humans, I guess that makes a lot of sense. I think that's one of the reasons why the stereotype and one of the reasons why INTJs and ENFP work really well. Because if you break that, what she just said down to its core components, the ENFP thinks the INTJs are cute when we're just being normal, right? And then like to be admired and adored just for being who you are naturally, that's something that I think most people seek in real life. And I will say this from the INTJ perspective, I feel the same way about ENFPs, guys and girls. Like I think you guys are one of the cutest people out there, even when you guys are just acting normal. And it just something about ENFPs when you guys are in natural ENFP mode. It's so cute and funny to watch because I'm so curious as to where it will lead to. But yeah, let's see what else she has to say.
one thing we really like about INTJs. But the big point I want to point out why ENFPs love INTJs
Yep,
is
she's not on
because of
track,
their
guys. She's skipping
dominant
around.
NI. Oh my god. Okay. Breathe. Okay. So, so both ENFPs and INTJs, we have intuition as our first and primary function. And so whenever like I meet an INTJ, there's always like this very quick bond, and then it will just like we just like start talking and talking, and we can just like go on and talk for hours because we usually connect on that really intuitive level. So so ENFPs, we have extroverted intuition as our first function. INTJs, they have introverted intuition as their first function. And intuition is all about, like really delving into like the realm of like ideas and theories and concepts. That's where we kind of like thrive. That's where we naturally, that's our default state. But because like they come in opposite directions, we provide different perspectives to like very similar things, and it makes it really exciting, and it's very like easy, and yeah, just
Okay, I feel like she's in any like off topic again. What she said right there is absolutely true. It that is one of the easiest ways to connect with an INTJ. Okay, that's one of the reasons why ENFPs and INTJs get along so well, because that natural intuitive conversation, it is something that we do naturally that we don't really engage with other people similarly to. And I'll talk about just like my own personal experience. A few weeks ago, I actually met an ENFP guy that I've never met before. He's a friend of my INTP. We met each other, and immediately that intuitive conversation happened. We were talking about one topic, and then we noticed that, okay, we have similar ideas or similar hobbies, but the way that we approach the hobbies are like super different. but they're different in a way that we can technically improve if we apply what the other person knows. We're talking about this game called TFT, right? Team 5 Tactics for League of Legends. And I play that game because it's easy where I can watch a movie while play that game at the same time. But for him, he's playing it for like another reason. And then it's just like his approach to it was just so fascinating. Like my approach is always, okay, you build the base and then you build everything around it. And for him, it's like, okay, hey, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do this. And I've incorporated some of the ways that he plays the games and views the game, and I've been doing better because of it. But yeah, that was the initial conversation talking about that, and then eventually, like, he started inviting me to play other online games and stuff. Which I hate to admit this, right? But when I get too much attention from someone, I usually just kind of shy away. So I've been invisible on my Steam account. But yeah, what she said was absolutely true. When I have a conversation with an ENFP, even though I've never met that person, even if I end up not liking that person, there is a certain perspective change that I go through whenever I hear their perspective. Regardless of whether I think it's dumb as hell or whether it's something that I think is fascinating, there always is a perspective shift.
Like every time I meet an INTJ, it's like, I'm going to have a really interesting conversation. Yes! So that's one big reason why ENFPs love INTJs, because they know that they're going to have a really, really interesting conversation. And as you can tell, ENFPs,
Yeah,
we really like
annoying
to talk
and
and
interesting
explore ideas,
at the same
and
time.
INTJs are very good partners for that. Number two, so every INTJ I've ever met or come across or seen, they're all very intelligent. I know it's very stereotypical, but that's what I've noticed so far. And intelligence is a very, really wonderful and very highly valued quality to an ENFP. Um, you know, because as I said, like, you know, as dominant intuitives with like intuition as their dominant.
Okay, all right, guys. If you don't really pay attention to ENFPs, you're not seeing the quirk that she's doing naturally that I've noticed in almost every single ENFP that I know. When ENFPs get so excited in order to, like, when ENFPs are so excited and want to talk about a topic, but their intuitiveness is going haywire to the point where they're trying to explain so many things at once. So it seems as if they're kind of jumbled, that they become a little incoherent or their sentences don't really connect as seamlessly as just having a normal conversation. That's something that I feel like is very, very strong when it comes down to ENFPs as opposed to the ENTPs. ENTPs, I feel like, are a lot better when it comes down to stating things because they're looking at it from a very logical lens. I've noticed that when it comes down to ENFPs, it becomes a little bit manic, which adds on to the stereotypes of the manic pixie dreamboat guy or girl, whatever. But it's something, again, that I've noticed. Other types don't do it as often and to the degree that ENFPs do. It seems as if most people are performative when they get to that point. ENFPs, I feel like, is just a natural state. And what I mean, again, watch this video, like, as we're watching this video, notice how she's saying things, but you can also tell that she's thinking about other things, and you can also tell that she's trying to get something out while thinking about something else and thinking that that other thing might be just as important, if not more important, and then she's trying to communicate it, and then, like, it shows in her body and her, like, facial expression.
Function. We really love that realm of like living up here rather than in the present, in the physical world. And so to explore someone's mind and their intelligence is really invigorating for ENFPs. And also, the INTJs I've met, they're all of them that I've met have are in like they're pursuing like something in the field of science. So I've got two INTJ friends who work in like quantum physics, one in AI, so artificial intelligence, and one in biotech, biomedicine, and the rest are all software engineers. And I know this sounds very stereotypical, But as an ENFP, I've always been drawn to the social sciences. And ENFPs, like, we're very curious about people who are different to us. But not only people who are different to us, different, but excel at things that we value. And so I don't have a preference for, like, I've never been interested in pursuing quantum physics, but I have great interest and high respect for, like, that field. And so that's another reason why I like INTJs, like, fascinating ENFPs, because you're interested in something that we really value, but we don't have a preference for. And so, you guys are a source of, like, great and wonderful intellectual information.
I actually notice this a lot with ENFPs whenever they start talking to INTPs. INTPs, they lead with introverted intuition, so they do something what I call like TI dump a lot. They know so much, and then they just talk about what they talk about because they know it. They know it thoroughly. They know it inside and out, and it's something that like very natural to them. I've noticed that ENFPs, whenever they're around introverted intuition users like the INTPs, that they just sit, they stare, they listen, and they listen very attentively. And it might be because of the whole what she said, whether she's just interested in a topic because it's something that she normally wouldn't spend time on, or whether it's just doing any things. But I have noticed that ENFPs, whenever they're engaged on a topic that is something that they're not very privy to, but still sounds interesting to them, right? Like they become very interested.
So that's another reason why ENFPs love INTJs. I hope all of this is making sense. Number 3. Okay, we are. I put down in INTJs parent TE, or extroverted thinking. So the reason why ENFPs find an INTJ's parent extroverted thinking very appealing is because they're strong in something that we're weak at. So we have child extroverted thinking. And so I guess it's like a subconscious, like, attraction, where it's like being attracted to someone who's good at something that you're weak at, but something that you really value. So ENFPs, I guess when we're in that the mindset, we can really get things done. But it's a lot harder because we are so overwhelmed generally by all of our ideas and all the things that we want to do. And it's kind of like, how do I process all of these things that I want to do in a very orderly manner and get it done all efficiently? I'll manage, but damn, I'm so overwhelmed. And so to see someone who's just like, this is a really terrible impersonation of an INTJ, but it just like, see them just get things done so efficiently. I know it sounds really weird, but ENFPs find it very, like, attractive when someone's strong point is, like, getting things done efficiently. Like, I find that so incredibly, like, sexy. I know.
Okay, I got weird. So I have noticed that as well. Based off my previous experience dating ENFPs, I am typically the cleaner one, and I'm not a very clean person in general, but I am cleaner than my partners. I typically am the one to have to do the dishes. I'm the one who, like, set most schedules in place. I'm also the one who I don't like cooking much, but if the partner doesn't want to cook, then I would have to do that. I see this pairing. Like, I actually understand this a lot. Like, as an INTJ, it's very easy for us to engage with extroverted thinking. Not as easy as, a TE dominant, but it is something that we do on a daily basis. Being organized is something that I've noticed does help ENFPs, or just people who lack extroverted thinking in a top 4 function, or just like who just lacks that type of external motivation in order to keep busy or to keep clean. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I agree with this. I agree that when an INTJ and an ENFP gets together, that the ENFP becomes a better person if they want to by listening to how the INTJ can structure their life and what they want to do. I have noticed plenty of times in my previous experience with dating ENFPs that they really do believe that every option is a great option, and where I come in would I would have to just talk them through it. Like the placement of extroverted thinking and introverted feeling is the second and third for both of us, just flipped. So we do listen to what the other person's talking about, and we do take in consideration. We might not take in consideration at that moment, but in hindsight, we can then see what that other person's where they're coming from and why it's valid and why it actually matters. There are a lot of room for contention. Like INTJs, we are a little rigid when it comes down to certain things. ENFPs are a little too lackadaisical in like certain aspects of life, but I do believe that this is one of the reasons why the pairing works so well. Just because, like we want to be helpful, and by being helpful for an INTJ, it's not like an emotional thing. It's like a logical, systematic approach to life to make your life as efficient as possible, so that you can do as much as possible, also without being so forceful.
Like someone with like a really great body or someone doing things so efficiently, it's like, damn. Getaway body.
Why not both?
Here, efficiency. okay, I hope that wasn't really weird, but I hope that illustrated my point. Number 4. Oh yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, there's stoic, like, you're an idiot face. So the reason why I put this weird point as a reason why ENFPs are like INTJs, like INTJs, is because we know how you come across to most people. And what excites us is that we know that there's more to you than people realize. And it excites us to be able to, like, dig through that cold, robotic INTJ exterior, see the big heart underneath. Like, I have this, like, INTJ friend, and before I started talking to him, most of my friends, like, warned me not to, because they were like, don't talk to him, he's, like, weird, he's, like, kind of mean. Like, don't bother. And I was like, I do what I want. And then when I started talking to him, I was like, what are my friends talking about? Like, he's so lovely. Like, I can see why they might see that in him. But, yep, every INTJ I've ever met has been, like, sure, they've got, like, a really, like, dickhead, no offense, like, exterior sometimes. It's very unapproachable exterior. But once you get to know them, that they're truly lovely people, and they don't, like, play games, and they're just, like, very honest people, very smart and honest people. So that's, I think, another reason why ENFPs love INTJs. And I guess we get kind of like a thrill being able to see, like, the real person underneath that image that everyone else sees. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, so that's something I don't understand about ENFPs. And that's something that I find very fascinating when it comes down to, like, the ENFs. So the ENFP and ENFJ, right? Like, I've noticed that both of them really wants to get to know the other person and to understand where the other person's coming from, or to kind of see them as holistically as possible. But I've also noticed that when it comes down to ENFPs engaging with INTJs, there really is this somewhat I don't know many big words. There really is this kinship when it comes down to the TEFI placements for both. I feel like whenever I'm talking to an ENFJ, a lot of the times I know that it comes from a good place, but there also is this type of barrier, and the barrier is extroverted feeling. When they engage with us, it seems as if they're trying to gauge who we are in comparison to the group that we're with, in comparison to society, in comparison to all that stuff. It's not necessarily that they're not trying to figure out who we are, because they are. But ENFJs tend to have this way of expressing their interest in an INTJ by, using this outside source, like as a comparison. But when it comes down to ENFPs, I do feel like ENFPs see us for who we are first, and then if they do decide to, they will then start comparing us to, the social network that we're in, or to the accolades, the awards, to any type of external validation method that I see relatively naturally when it comes down to FE users. So yes, I do believe that ENFPs have this ability to dive into the INTJ just by being themselves because of, and I really do believe it's because of that. I do believe that whenever I speak to an ENFP, they see me.
Uh, oh yeah, so number 5, following on from that point I made earlier, is that there's a big heart underneath. This is what I find really interesting about INTJs, is that unlike like feelers, especially like ENFPs where the emotions are very like on the surface, we like, as you, I don't know, you can tell that I express myself very readily. I'm not like, hi, you have no idea what I'm thinking. Um, so they don't really show much, but they feel so deeply, and like, they just have the biggest hearts. And the INTJs that I know, um, they, like, everyone says they care about their family, but the INTJs that I've met so far really show it. So I've got one INTJ friend, and like every weekend he goes and hangs out with like his nieces. It's just like the sweetest thing. Like, I don't know anyone who like, tries to like, because like he was like looking for a place to stay, and he wanted to make sure that where he lived was close to his nieces, so he could like hang out with them regularly. And I've got another INTJ friend who's like always there for his like mum and dad. Like, even though they don't seem like the most like warm and family people, they truly are deep down, especially when they mature. Maybe not, I'm talking about like when they mature, like they become very family devoted and family oriented, even if they've had like a very rocky relationship with their family growing up. They become very family devoted as they mature. So that's also another thing that I find really.
I think that's very interesting that in the ENFP, or at least this content creator actually notices that. I've noticed that a lot of people don't notice that. That like if you know anything about INTJ, we would burn down the world, move mountains for the people that we care about. We just don't show it in a very feely way. We do what we feel needs to be done in order for the person to feel or be a certain way. Like it comes down to efficiency and it comes down to being loved. Being loved means multiple things. I hate the stereotype that loving someone means showing emotional affection towards them, because there are more ways to show care than that. INTJs, ISTJs, I feel like we express love in a very different way, and it comes down to loyalty. We are loyal to them, and if we are loyal to someone, we will do what we believe that we need to do in order for that person to get what we believe they deserve. And that's a certain love, care, affection that I don't believe most people do, because they believe that love is just this happy-go-lucky, stupid little thing. It's not. There are multiple ways of approaching it.
Wonderful about INTJs, and as ENFPs, like, we think, it speaks volumes. Yeah. Okay. Next point. Uh,
I also want to point out that you could tell that this is extrovert intuition instead of introverted intuition, because she doesn't dive deep enough. Like she brings up these topics, she brings up what she noticed from these topics, but I feel like, okay, you're just scratching the surface. Let's go deeper into it. Like, why do you know that? How do you know that? What are different ways that you can tell me that shows that this is why you know this? It's very interesting. Any users don't really get to a certain depth when it comes down to talking about their intuition, which isn't a bad thing, because it's fun to be around.
okay. Number 6. So I'm going to be talking about an INTJ's inferior SE, or extroverted sensing. So why did I bring this up? INTJs, as they mature, they dress really well, and I'm going to ascribe that to their inferior sensing, because I guess like when you're really not strong in something, when you mature, you really work hard at it, and it really shows, because every INTJ I've ever met dresses really well, unlike some other types. And I'm not going to name them, but I think you guys know who I'm talking about. But like INTJs, like, they dress really well, and their style is like really interesting. So their style is like really clean cut. It's like it's always like it's already very clean cut and like a lot of dark colors. So I have like this INTJ friend that I play dodgeball with, and like I like noticed him because so we all have like our own team colors, but he would refuse to wear his team colors. Like he was like on another team, and he would always wear black, like black, everything black. He'd never wear his team colors, and I remember thinking like who is this guy? Why is he always wearing black? And I went up and talked to him. I was like, I have to talk to this guy, and I didn't even like say hi, how are you? None of that. It was just like, why are you always wearing black? And he had a very rational reason as to why he always wore black, which is very INTJ. He was like, feel this material, and it was just like, I was like,
All right, this is the first part of the video I'm gonna have to disagree with. As an INTJ, we don't want the spotlight. So to be part of a team dynamic and stand out, that doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, economically, if he can't afford other things, right, then yes, that makes sense. You know, like if he can't afford the jerseys. But the way that she's describing things, it sounds more like introverted thinking. Introverted thinking, whenever they feel like something is more superior, it's very difficult for us to guide them outside of that. Which, if we really wanted to, right, then we can like kind of pressure them out of it. But like that doesn't make sense. That's really not how extroverted sensing or inferior extroverted sensing works. Inferior extroverted sensing wants to stand out a little bit for INTJs because we also have FI, but to stand out that much and to have a ridiculous explanation, because don't forget we have extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking is telling us, hey, we are part of the system, we are part of this group. If we can financially be part of this group, extrovert sensing will want to be part of it. So why would we want to stand out? That doesn't really make sense to me.
you know it. So like but it's like very clean cut, a lot of dark colors, but because of their introverted feeling, they throw in a bunch of like bright colors. So it's very different to an INFJ. They normally don't really wear a lot of bright colors because of FE. But I'll be talking about them in an INFJ video. So INTJs, like they wear a lot of like dark colors, but then the sun will be like this pop of like a bright shirt or like a really pastel colored shirt. Like I've noticed they also really like pastel colors. So I always find that really interesting. So
I'm gonna have to agree with that part, not the pastel part, but once an INTJ gets old enough and we start engaging with introverted feeling and extroverted sensing, the topic that she's talking about right now, there's a part of us that want to show who we are, and we already know, you know, having extrovert sensing, that we are perceived a certain way if we dress a certain way, which we don't want to stand out too much, which doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to wear dark colors, because you would stand out if you're at a rave or something where everyone's like colorful. You're wearing colors that you feel like you blend in, but there's always something about you. Not always, but a lot of times if you want to stand out a little bit, because FI is like, hey, stand out a little bit, you're going to wear something that stands out. A wristwatch, you know, like a certain color, a specific tie with a certain design. Introverted feeling for an INTJ does crave that uniqueness to it. So I do agree with that.
yeah, so that's how the INTJs I've met so far dress. Clean cut, a lot of dark colors, but with like pops of like bright colored shirts or like pastel colored shirts. And yeah, it's like lots of blacks, navies, maroon, and pastels, and then like their favorite color, pop of their favorite color top. It's really interesting. Yeah. Next. Oh yeah. So yeah, you won't see like an INTJ caught dead wearing like something like this. This is just like all colors, all pop. And yeah.
I can't remember which video I commented on, but the way you dress, that is not a type specific thing, and I want to be very clear about that. It's based off of the way you were raised. It's based off of what you learn to attribute to what fashion looks like and then what you actually want to present yourself as, right? INTJs don't primarily wear dark colors. That's not. I mean, just if you think just because someone wears dark colors a lot, they're INTJs, that makes no fucking sense. Like the example I gave was I grew up in a very impoverished community, and if I wore a certain color, I could have been beaten up, robbed, jumped, whatever, right? So that's something that I want people to take in consideration. That life has more effect on the color that you're wearing, the brand that you're wearing, more so than your MBTI type.
And also, like as I said, they're clean cut, so they wouldn't be caught wearing like something really like fuzzy or
Nah, fuck that shit. I have fuzzy
fringy, or
shit.
it's like I think I made my point. I'm over explaining. So then, number 7. Another reason why ENFPs love INTJs is also related to their NIs, their introverted intuition. So with NI, they see like the bigger picture, and that's very appealing to.
Okay, I had to stop it right there. Did anyone else notice that we talked about NI? I think this is the first topic. We dropped hints of NI in the second or third topic, and now we're going back to NI again. As an introverted intuition user like myself, I feel like this is a topic, or what she's doing right now. Come on, girl. Like we could have dived in deeper in the first mention of introverted intuition, but here we are. Like just ending around. Eventually, get into a certain point, but we're just going in this loop, which isn't a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. I'm just letting you know, as an introverted intuition user, I feel like we are kind of all over the place, even though all the places still make sense.
NFPs because I guess it's like appealing to like all intuitives because we generally like seeing the bigger picture. We're not really big fans of, but especially like ENFPs, I guess, being bogged down by like daily mundane details. It's like, I don't care about what time I wake up, like what I do at 7.
Okay, I do want to put this out. ENFPs shower every day. Please, ENFPs shower every day. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Or what I eat for breakfast. I care about the direction of society. Like, that's just like an oversimplification, but yeah, so INTJs, like, they see the bigger picture, and so what's interesting about INTJs, though, like, they see the bigger picture, and then usually have goals that are oriented towards, like, bigger picture things as well, and so even though, like, they look like, they're like these, like, that's a really bad impersonation. Anyways, they seem like they don't really care about people. They actually do, but not care about individuals per se, but more about care about society. And so, and I found like a lot of their goals are to do with like bigger societal goals, rather than just like some types who might just like care more about their status or like how much they'll earn. I'm not saying INTJs like don't care about status or how much they earn, but there's always like a bigger picture, like how does that fit in within like the direction of like society. So yeah, and another interesting point is that they care about the direction of society, but it might be interpreted as evil, because they might be like, overpopulation, blah blah blah. It makes sense for this evil genius in this story to like want to kill all these people, and and even though that sounds like really awful, it's still like looking at society as a whole, and caring about like the future of society, even though it might seem like very amoral. They're in terms of like their argument, but one point is like it's still like looking at the bigger picture of like society and not individuals per se. I hope that makes sense. I felt like I was like talking in a loop.
Yeah, one of the things I do want to point out is my younger brother's ISFJ, and he's always confused. He always thought that I wanted to be edge lordy when I would tell him that my favorite character of a movie is the villain, or if I have some type of agreement with the villain, because for him it's like, okay, this person is, the villain of the movie, therefore anything that he says or does should be viewed as villainy, should be viewed as something that we oppose. But for me, I don't like viewing people, characters, or anyone that way. There usually is a reason why someone does that, and I've said this in more other videos, and I don't know who said this, right? But it's a quote. It's like, a good villain is written as if they are the hero of their own story. And as an INTJ, I'm able to put myself in their perspective to know that, hey, in their head, yes, that makes the most sense because of whatever happenstance that they find themselves in.
Number 8, why NFPs love INTJs. So their grounded presence. I know I've noticed that there are a lot of comments and threads online where people ask like, oh, do NFPs find INXJs like boring? And I can see why a lot of people ask that, but just to make things clear, an INTJ's like grounded presence is actually very beautiful to an ENFP, because as you've noticed, my energy is kind of like all over the place. And so when there's someone that grounded, it's just like very comforting to an ENFP. It's like so, it's just incredibly, incredibly comforting. Because like we know that we're like,
Okay, did you guys notice that? How she was trying to find the exact word to like pinpoint what she wanted to say. Her brain was going everywhere, and then as a result, her body language just started becoming more animated. How she was like, you know, touching herself, and then look at her arms are like out right now. It really is a thing that I've noticed to be very specific to ENFPs whenever they get into a certain mode. And I want to be very specific that ENTPs do something similar too, but they're not as animated as ENFPs, or at least from what I noticed.
and for someone to just be like, we're like, wow, you're not flustered by the storm. This feels good. I don't know. It's kind of like yin and yang. I don't know. But yeah, so it's just actually the opposing energy, and their opposing energy is actually really valued by us. So yeah. Number 9. So this is pretty important. A reason why ENFPs love INTJs is because they can follow our crazy thought patterns. And a lot of you would know that NE is a function where it's kind of like, oh, just getting exhausted, like all the things in my head. So we can personally get overwhelmed by our own dominant function, and to have someone being able to like follow us, like just the power of understanding, is just like, it's a wonderful thing. And I know that sounds really corny, but just the fact that they can follow us, it really allows us to feel safe to be ourselves, because we know how weird we are. And when this fellow person who we know is just as weird, it's just like, I get you. It's like, be my friend forever. And so that's another reason why ENFPs love INTJ.
To add on what she said, I actually have a friend. She's an ENFP, and when we hang out, we don't do small talk. Legitimately, like, hi. And she would go off on random tangents about what she's been thinking about or what's on her mind. And whenever, I engage with her, it's like, oh, all right, we're getting into it. Let's keep going. Let's see where this takes us. And then usually we go off on introverted tangents first, and then eventually once we're like, okay, hey, we're at a good spot, then small talk happens. And it's like, hey, how have you been? It really is interesting that order of operation changes the closer you are to an ENFP. And I've noticed that this is something that I do primarily with ENFPs, more so than any other type. Yeah.
DJs, they provide, they make very wonderful friends for ENFPs. Um, uh, yeah, so not only are they like great listeners and they can follow us, they're also interesting and can engage with us at our level. So it's not just like, oh, someone who can listen to us. It's just, oh my God, someone who can listen to us and also engage with us and give back.
1000%. 1000%. When I meet another intuitive user, not only can they follow along, they could be there with us. They can engage with the realm of possibilities in the realm of make believe and not make us feel weird for thinking about it, but actually playing in the playground that we created with our mind. That is one of the best feelings in the world, being an INTJ when I meet another intuitive dominant user.
And it's just a really wonderful dynamic. And I don't know, if you're an INTJ or an ENFP and you've like experienced this dynamic, like please share. Like I personally enjoy it so much. I really value all my INTJ friends. And yeah. Okay, next point. Number 10. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so why ENFPs love INTJs. So INTJs are naturally skeptical. Um, they're naturally skeptical and judgmental of everyone's ideas. But the most important thing is that they're also open-minded. So the reason why this is a point is because
Okay, hold on. We are only skeptical if that person hasn't proven that they know what they're talking about. If it's someone that I know that has proven to me personally that they are that they do enough research, that they dive deep enough, that they're expert at their craft, right? Then why would we question what they have to say? But that also means that, as an INTJ, ENTJs do this as well. Your title doesn't mean shit. Most people get to the point just because they're lucky and were raised in wealthy families, or they've been in the role long enough where the good people left and then now they're promoted up to that position. So yes, we are skeptical if we don't know whether you know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay, she's right. She's right. My bad, guys. My bad. She's right.
INFPs, we don't like closed-minded people. Like anytime like I come across a closed-minded person, it's like kill me. Because it's kind of like because we're the kind of people who like exploring different ideas, and if someone's like closed-minded, it's really hard to communicate or enjoy talking to them. And it's also like, oh look, it's a person who's refusing to grow. Like we don't want to deal with those kind of people. But also, it's also important to be analytical and critical of ideas that we see in the world. And INTJs have the ability to be critical but open-minded at the same time, which is really wonderful. And I can think it's like a really strong basis of why they're such like intellectuals. And this is also another reason why ENFPs love INTJs.
I can actually understand. I can actually explain that. As an introvert intuition user, you realize that everyone has knowledge that you may not have, or perspectives or life experience that you may not have. So it is I can't think of the word right now, right? I think it's very embarrassing as an INTJ to be like, oh, I know everything. This person can't teach me anything. That's not true. I mean, like, as a younger INTJ, yes, we were all very, our ego definitely driven us to a point where we believe everyone is dumb, which in a sense I still somewhat believe as well, but I've also adopted this new mentality that everyone has something that they could teach me as long as I'm willing to listen and learn. So yes, INTJs are open-minded once we get to a certain point. Younger INTJs typically are not. Younger INTJs fit more of the stereotypical INTJ stereotype of being cold and arrogant. But that arrogance typically changes to this open-mindedness that she talks about once we start engaging with the world with a more open-minded perspective. Once we start understanding that emotions are valid and that engaging with the world means engaging with other people.
So now to the final point as to why ENFPs love INTJs. So I kind of touched on this a bit earlier, but so with INTJs, as I've said, there's so much more to them than meets the eye, and that's very exciting for ENFPs because I feel like we figure people out pretty quickly, and but with INTJs, they're just so mysterious, and we know that there's so much more to them. There's so much more happening below the surface, beyond the piercing look that they usually give. Can't do it. It's just like this. It's like
She's calling us out, guys. We have a piercing look naturally.
but it's kind of
RBF.
like not really there. Can't really explain it. It's like piercing but not present. I hope that makes sense. And so, like they're not the most approachable type, but what I find so interesting about INTJs is that despite this, they're one of the most, if you get to know them, they're one of the most open and honest people I've ever met. As ENFPs, like we just really love their style of communication where it's just like, if you ask them something, they'll answer it like this. There's no like dancing around the question or like any fluff we have to like kind of like just like dig through. It's just like question, answer. It's like, yay! So less stressful for an ENFP.
I want to comment that real quick. And I apologize if my cat's being loud right now, but she's being very talkative. I agree with that to a certain extent. I think as an INTJ, we start to understand the people that we engage with and then understand the way that they perceive information. So whenever they ask us for certain information as an as an NI-DOM, we can answer it in so many different ways. But based off of the way the question is asked, we are able to provide a specific answer. That's actually something that I engaged with, or I had issues with when I was in the corporate world, because I realized that what's being asked isn't necessarily what's being asked. Like, most people don't know how to be specific enough in their questions that whatever answer I give them isn't necessarily what they're looking for. I've noticed that when it comes down to ENFPs, if I am with them long enough, I develop this feel in what they're trying to ask. And like as an any user, they usually have follow-up questions, but the follow-up question is actually a good thing because it shows that they're engaged. It shows that they actually care about this. And also, sometimes INTJs are wrong. So it helps us look at different perspectives of the question or answer of our answer. And then we become more knowledgeable. Like as an INTJ, similar to what you said, we're always trying to grow. And how can we grow if we don't take in consideration another perspective from someone that we deem as, or someone that we believe to be as knowledgeable, or someone we care about?
But on another level, not only do we love that, not only do we love how, I guess, open and honest they are, and direct. We know like they're not like this. They're not just like, they won't just open up to just anybody. And so when they open up, like we know this, and we really appreciate it, and we feel very special when they do open up. And
I find that weird as hell. I find that so weird. Like, why do you guys feel so special when we finally open up to you? Because like the way that I see it is, okay, if we are in the same social circle and we're going to engage with each other a lot more, or if I feel like, okay, you're probably going to be part of my life, I feel like it is my duty and my responsibility to let you know who I am, so that so that you don't make up stories about who I am as a person. Don't you guys think that's interesting? That I feel like it's my duty to open up, but then ENFP, or what she's saying is she feels special when I do open up. It's like, okay, you feel special for something that I already feel like I'm going to do. Like, I'm not telling ENFPs not to feel special, because I do open up a little more of myself around them. I just find it fascinating. Again, this goes back to the original, or something I said earlier in the video. It's very nice to be appreciated for me just being me. And I do feel that from ENFPs.
And I'm like so thankful for my INTJ friendships, and I've been in a serious relationship with an INTJ, and so I kind of want to claim that I know what I'm talking about, um, but I'm not arrogant enough to say it with confidence. So, um, so yeah, um, yeah, we feel very um, privileged to see like a side of them that they normally don't share with just anyone. And yeah, I think ENFPs we just have like this really, I was gonna say quiet joy, but it's a really quiet joy with an ENFP. Like we just have like a fascination with people who have more to them than meets the eye. It's just like we just want to go and be like, hey, who are you? What is below this exterior that you present to the world? Tell me, I want to know everything about you. I want to be your friend. So I think that's why like INTJs are kind of like magnets to ENFPs, which is like, oh, that's an INTJ right there. Come to me. I'm being a bit creepy now. I hope this isn't scaring off like INTJs who are like, I once read that I'm very well,
Okay, like she's rambling right now, so I think it's a good time to interject. The way that I see ENFPs and INTJs, like one of the reasons why I believe we work out is again it goes back to the placement of the cognitive functions: extroverted thinking and introverted feeling. The way that I see those two function, it's older sister extroverted thinking, younger sister introverted feeling. Right? I call extroverted thinking mama, and I call introverted feeling auntie because mama's in charge of so many things. Auntie is there to make me happy, right? But Auntie Fi for me as an INTJ, it's it's not very confident. You know, like it's scared of the world. It doesn't really like engaging with other people or other things as much. But then Auntie Fi meets Mama or Papa Fi for ENFP, and the ENFP's Fi just makes Auntie Fi for an INTJ so comfortable that it's like, okay, hey, it's okay for us to get out of their shell. It's okay for us to leave the house, but like you actually have to lead us, help us get to where you are because we actually enjoy this. And similar to what she said throughout the entire video, extrovert thinking is similar to for an ENFP as well. ENFPs do get into like different like mental zones where they do become productive, become very engaged with extrovert thinking, but it's not as strong for them. So it's like, oh, okay, someone who's aspiring to do something, but then you have an ENTJ that would be like, okay, hey, if you want to do this, follow me. It's just this breath of fresh air that we can be around someone and something that we're not that great at. They're taking charge of it for us, but we're still engaging with it. We're still learning, because they don't overpower that portion of us. And it's just, it's nice because ENFPs really do this thing where the moment they see an INTJ engage with FI, there really is a twinkle in their eye. It's weird as hell if it's from someone that I'm not close to, but I see that twinkle almost every single time I say something that ENFP just latches to. It's wild. I can't really explain it besides the fact that they're just so engaged to the point where something just triggered in their mind. And it's not like a guy-girl thing. I see it in both male and females. It's very interesting.
match with ENFPs. Let's see what they're like. Oh my god, this Linda girl is crazy. Never hang out with an ENFP again. I hope that isn't going to happen. I hope this video isn't going to cause that to happen because I feel like the connection between an ENFP and an INTJ is just so wonderful. Oh god. Surely not that scary. I don't know. I think I've been talking too much, so I'm gonna wrap this video up, and hopefully this highlights why ENFPs love INTJs. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Just comment below, and I'll be happy to answer and help anyone out. And yeah, bye.
First and foremost, if you watch this video, please go to her channel, like the video, and comment, and leave whatever comments that you want. I believe this is a good video. I believe that she knows INTJs relatively well. one of the things that I've noticed is that it's easy to tell whether a content creator or a video is something that's like AI generated, something that you get from typing in like DeepSeek or ChatGPT. Hey, explain INTJs for me. It wasn't like that in this video. You could tell that it comes from personal experience, and her personal experience was speaking in the way of her truth. As an FI user, especially ENFPs, they're horrible at lying because when they lie, they have like certain habits and tics, and their FI is just being shown in a lot of her answers. Not all of them, but like most of them, which it's still passing grade. I think it's a great video. I really do believe that she understands INTJs. I really do think that she brought up a lot of really good points, and I really do believe that this is one of the easiest pairing, relationship, friendship, whatever, within the two types. I like this video. Again, this is the first of potentially many. If you're watching this video and you have another video you want me to react on, please let me know. Let me know what I did good. Let me know what I did bad. Any type of criticism. No, let me retract that. Be polite with your criticism. But yeah, if you think I could do better, let me know. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Again, support her channel by going there. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. Bye everyone.